Hello everyone. In this video I want to show you three useful tools, especially the two of them that are under Create. One is the SnapFit and the other one is Boss under Fusion 360 Plastics, and the other command is to assign a plastic rule. So this is really good for designing plastic parts like you are making them out of 3D printing. And so the first thing you want to set is to say this is from which plastic. So you can go there and then say, well, for instance, when I want to make these parts, I want to make them out of what? Out of ABS or nylon or PP or any other plastic. So let's say I want to make them out of ABS. And in this design, you see it's already ABS, but if you want to do it from any other ABS, you can change it, or nylon or anything, right? And once the plastic rule is set and the plastic properties, then you can go ahead and do these two options that I want to explain to you. So one of them are these snaps, which are really good if you want to connect two parts together, these snap fits. So if you break your part into half, or you have the bottom part and the top part, left and right, then on one of them is going to create basically these snaps, and then on the other one it is going to create the snap holes like those, okay? Or let me show you a wireframe that you can see better. So let's look here. You see, so these holes on these parts is where these snaps go and get locked. And this is really good here, that you can create the snaps for these two parts to go together. And of course you have to have something for these snaps to be pushed back and get out, and that's not what is done right now, but you can add some holes for them so you can release basically those snaps back if you want to open the parts, right? Because you don't want to break them. So that's one thing I want to show you. And the other one is if you want to attach two parts with a fastener, right, this screw, and then you can create the matching parts in these two. So you can see in this one, a hole is made, in this one, this extrusion is made, and then the bolt is going to go through that. It's a counter sunk. It's going to go there, sit down and under the surface, and then it can go all the way through the part, right? So here, let me show you how you do that. So if I create a new one, right, and go to plastic, and then the plastic rule is already set. Remember, we already have ABS in this study. Of course, you have to create material first, bodies first. So let's say I go to this plane, and then I use the ellipse, right? And let's say something like this, for instance. Okay, and then you can offset it. And something like that, or let's make it a little bit thicker, like this. Okay, and then get out. Then we are going to extrude it, and we're going to do symmetric, so we can use the XY plane for cutting it and splitting it later. Okay, so that is my profile, and I'm going to create the part, right? You can do that, or you can do shell if you want, right? So here what you do is just create a hollow part, but you can, if you want the caps, you can make it solid, but it doesn't really matter in this case. What we care about is basically the snaps, and they don't need, the part does not need to have caps. So let's say you made some part like this, and now you go here and then you say split body, and then this is the body to split, and the split tool is the XY plane, right, like that, and you break it into these two parts. So now, of course, you can set the plastic rule. Let's say in this here, we're going to go with ABS and applies ABS. And now we're going to create what? Snap fits. Now to apply snap fits, you have to have a sketch on the points that the snaps are going to be applied, and how many do you need? 4, 2, 6, how many, right? So let's say in this case, I just want 2, right? Or 4, doesn't matter. So I'm going to hide this part and click on it and use V. Then I'm gonna go on this surface and create the sketch, and then I'm gonna use the point tool, and I'm gonna create some points. So let's say create one point here and maybe create another point here, right? And let's use the dimension here to put them at equal distance from the center. So here we go and set this to 65 and repeat the same thing for the other side. There we go. And get out. Now I can go back and create those snaps. Okay, so here we click here, and then it automatically, you see, it picked the sketch points, right? You see here they are selected, and then here you can provide dimensions for the size of the snaps, right? The profile of it, the thickness of it, and so on. These are some parameters, and you can change them. Okay, and there are different types. You can do the parallel hook and group, which is what we are making right now. You can do perpendicular one, and you can do hook and loop, and there are different options here, and you can give them rotation angle. So for instance, if you don't like them to look like that, should be able to give them some rotation angle like this, correct? And then again, the depth of them, everything you can change. So here you see T1/2. So let's say in this case, if I say 20, let's see what happens. You can override that and type it. Okay, so you see it's the depth of this hole, and that's not what you want. So this thickness E is probably something you want to change. Let's see, that's probably too thick here, too thick. Let's see, 6. Something like that, or again, you can go back to use the formula. Okay, and if you're done, go ahead and OK that. So now if I use my move tool and grab this guy and move it, you can see that the snaps are created for this, and then the holes should be created for this one. Okay, so this is the snap tool. And then similarly, also you can create solid parts, and you can apply the basically the bolt on them, which in this case the name of the command is called boss, but that is basically using a fastener to attach the parts together and creating the extrusion inside the part to make it happen. So to show you that one, maybe I go back and change my sketch. In this case, I do not need this sketch, so I just gonna delete it. And then for this sketch, I gonna go back and make it just the ellipse. And go back here. So one thing is, when you change the sketch, it doesn't necessarily mean that you change the part. You have to go back and change the part. Okay, so I go back here and edit feature and pick this one, and let's make it a little bit less thick. So maybe 10 mil each or 20 mil each or something like that. Okay, and I also get rid of this portion. So here I have these two pieces together, and I want to create a path for the bolts to connect them together. And so when you click on it, okay, you see it says cannot do it. Why? Until you save the design. So first save it, just call it demo. And then when you click on this, it asks for a single point, which is where the hole should be made. So you just need one sketch here, a single point actually. So here I go on this surface and start the sketch and use the point tool and put it right at the center. Or if you don't want it at the center, let's say I want it here, for instance. Okay, I put it there, get out, and let's put this part back. So now we're gonna go and create the bus. So that is the point, and it should create a preview of the whole of the part, right? And if you want to create offset, you can do that. For instance, look, if I do 2 mil offset, you see that's the offset of the let me see if we can look at the front view. Okay, right, so let's make this 2.5 so you can see better, right? So that's basically how far this part comes into the other one, this extrusion that you make in the part. Okay, so if you don't want it, put it back to 0, and then you can create components here, of course. There are all sorts of heads. So the one I made was a flat counterboard, right? So if you want, you can make anything else. Let's say I want the hex head. And then for the drive of it, I want to use a Torx Plus, or I want a Phillips, or I want a flat, or anything. Let's say I use a Phillips. And then there are all sorts of other parameters for the thread angle, right? For whether it's a metric or inch system, is fine thread or coarse thread. There are all sorts of things you can do. And what is the thread material? Because not only it will create the hole and the features for the two parts, it will also add a fastener, right? So you can see the preview of the fastener here. And this is the length of it. So let's say, for instance, if I make it a little bit longer, right? So it can do that as well. And you see here, these are the directions of extrusion. Here I reversed it. And as you saw, there are lots and lots of options for you to pick here, right? So let's see. And then there is thread diameter, right? So you can make it bigger. And here, the hole type, do you want it counterbored or simple? Let's say I want it counterboard. And then do you want any step in it? No. And then for side 2, there is side 1 and side 2. What do you want again? So let's do something similar. And then there is hole depth type, and then there are advanced options here. Okay, and here you can provide lots of different information, like how much is each part here, right? So you see, for instance, if you look at I or J, you see they are all related, and these are related to what? To the thickness of the material. Okay, so you can see that parameters, it's parametric hole, and the parameters are based on the thickness of the material that you're picking. And if you okay that, now let's see, we go back to here, and let's say move these parts. So grab this and move it out of the way. You can see that here this part is made, the fastener is made, and the fastener is added here, right? You can see this is the body of the fastener, right? Let's hide it for a second. So you see in this part a threaded hole is made, and if you look at the other one, you can see again a hole is made in that, and then here is the recess and a location for counterboard head. So you see these two are very good for attaching plastic parts together, either using a fastener or just using a snap. And there are these two other options, but these are not necessarily for attaching. So one of them is a groove, basically, that one part can slide on the other one, and the other one is if one part is going to sit against another one, you can use a rest. Okay, so if you have, for instance, a cell phone charger, right, and the cell phone is sitting on it vertically, so here you can have the sketch of the profile of the cell phone, and then you're going to project it onto the surface of the cell phone holder, and it's going to create a resting place for it so it can sit on that, right? So you have this, and again, this lip is good when one object is sliding against another one. It's a lip groove. But here, my goal was connecting plastic objects together. So hopefully these two items were useful to you, and you learned some basic tools under Fusion Plastic. And I'm going to see you in the next video. Thank you.